नमस्कार, मेरा नाम है कर्नल वीरेंद्र कुमार, इंडिपेंडेंट नेशनलिस्ट। इंडियन इकोनॉमी के दो पक्ष हैं। एक पक्ष वो है जो बीजेपी वाले दिखाते हैं और दूसरा पक्ष वो है जो ओपोजिशन वाले दिखाते हैं, कांग्रेस या बाकी जो पार्टीज हैं। बीजेपी वाले कहते हैं कि इकोनॉमी बहुत अच्छा कर रही है और कांग्रेस और ओपोजिशन वाले कहते हैं कि इकोनॉमी का तो बुरा हाल है, मोदी ने तो इकोनॉमी को बिल्कुल ही खराब कर दिया। वो इकोनॉमिस्ट है नहीं, इससे पहले डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह थे, तो ही वॉज इंटरनेशनल रेपुटेड इकोनॉमिस्ट, जिसको ओबामा भी रिकॉग्नाइज करता था। देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट दैट फैक्ट कि मोदी जी इकोनॉमिस्ट नहीं है। तो ठीक है, डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह के अलावा ऐसा कौन सा प्राइम मिनिस्टर है जो इकोनॉमिस्ट हो? ऑब्वियसली यू विल नॉट फाइंड एनीबडी। बट डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह ने एक्सेप्ट जब वो नरसिम्हा राव के अंडर में काम कर रहे थे तो उस टाइम पे रिफॉर्म्स तो लेके आए थे। एज ए प्राइम मिनिस्टर तो उनकी जो परफॉर्मेंस थी उसका एक लिमिटेड एप्लीकेशन था। नेवरदलेस ओपोजिशन वाले क्या कहते हैं, रूलिंग पार्टी क्या कहती है, हमें इससे क्या करना है? हमें तो एक इंटरनेशनल रिकॉग्नाइज्ड थिंक टैंक या कंपनी चाहिए, एनालिस्ट चाहिए जो इंडियन इकोनॉमी को एनालाइज कर सके और हमारे सामने डाटा रख सके। ये तो डाटा ड्रिवन अप्रोच है, इसमें मेरा कोई रोल नहीं है, बाकी किसी का कोई रोल नहीं है। जो डाटा कह रहे हैं उसको अगर कोई कंपनी या एनालिस्ट एनालाइज करता है तो मैं समझता हूं वो एक सही पैरामीटर होगा। और ये एक्चुअली रिपोर्ट आई है मॉर्गन स्टैनले की। मुझे ये बताने की तो जरूरत नहीं कि इस फील्ड में मॉर्गन स्टैनले का क्या स्टेटस है। तो उनकी ये रिपोर्ट है, बहुत बड़ी एग्जॉस्टिव रिपोर्ट है और उनका मतलब ये है कि इंडिया हैज अराइव्ड। तो किस बेसिस पे उन्होंने इस स्टेटमेंट को दिया है कि इंडिया हैज अराइव्ड? वो क्या क्या पिछले 9 साल में गवर्नमेंट ने क्या क्या किया है जिसकी वजह से अब जो इंडियन इकोनॉमी है वो अब एक साउंड फुटिंग पे है। अब इसको अगर हम एनालाइज करने चले तो ये तो बहुत बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट हो जाएगा। तो मैंने गिरीश वाजपेयी जी से रिक्वेस्ट किया कि आप एनालाइज करें कि आफ्टर ऑल इस रिपोर्ट में क्या लिखा गया है। तो ये वीडियो का एक्चुअली फर्स्ट पार्ट है, फिर दूसरा पार्ट आएगा। और पहले पार्ट में जो स्टेप्स गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने लिए हैं पिछले 9 साल में, जिनका रिजल्ट अब देखने को मिल रहा है, उन सब की हम बात करते हैं। ऑब्वियसली ये बड़ा सीरियस डिस्कशन है और काफी कम लोगों को ये समझ में आने वाला है, बट नेवरदलेस गिरीश वाजपेयी जी ने बड़े साफ स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड लैंग्वेज में इसको समझाया है। सो ओवर टू हिम। तो गिरीश जी नमस्कार, एक बार फिर चैनल पे आपका स्वागत है। आज बात करेंगे मॉर्गन स्टैनले की रिपोर्ट के बारे में। तो मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहूंगा कि ये जो मॉर्गन स्टैनले की रिपोर्ट है ये क्या कहती है और क्या एक्चुअली फोरकास्ट वो कर रहे हैं इंडिया की इकोनॉमिक जर्नी के बारे में?
Namaskar, Karna sir. As we all know, this report is out some 2-3 days back. What they did, they had summarized the initiative taken by central government in the last 8-10 years, and which are having an impact in the sense we can say reasonable impact in the outcome of the country's progress towards economy. And where they says that India has arrived in the world stage, if we say in that manner. Now, if we look at that, since 2014, when a new NDA government took power, they first or they still continue to clear the mess of which was some of the burden which was of the previous government. As also at the same time, they initiated many changes in the way of working and initiated many infrastructure and other major project which was either sidelined or never was given a priority. Now all those factors had changed the way India is doing business, and its results are seen worldwide. So what Morgan Stanley has done, the summarize all those things. If we look into the report, I am sure you will be attaching that report into the as a link. There are 10 major points. There are 10 major points.
Point wise आप एक एक करके बता दीजिए, उसमें क्या है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
All right. Okay. So supply side policy reform, this is one of the first point which they have said. Now, what does it include? it includes many things which was initiated by the government. Now, what are the things? They have initiated major changes in the infrastructures like rail, road, digital broadband, and many other things. If we have seen in last couple of years when government came in, the per day kilometer highway or expressway is constructed, per day kilometer electrification of the railway track, and many other things, and Gati Shakti, and even on the riverfront and other things there, the transportation of mainly Korea load and people, they are taking place, and this has resulted into our cost reduction. Now, if I look into that, how much is the logistic is a very, very important cost in our way of business. Earlier, logistic was something around 15% of our cost factor, which is now reduced to approximately 8%. So this is one of the major change, and that is impacting entire end-to-end results. Means right producer, transporter, and user. And once it entire chain is getting impacted, it helps the user as well as the producer. So economy is having an impact. Similarly, they made changes in the tax structure for the corporate. Earlier, it was around 35% corporate tax, which was reduced and rationalized along with the what is our peers are having. So something around 22 to 25% corporate tax. So these are the major changes which are happening in the supply side. And we can also see there are other points which we are coming is the PLI scheme, which government has introduced. If we have seen in the recent, whether it is mobile or whether it is EV or whether it is vehicle or other such critical or major item, which help the industries which are coming and installing here the project, that is helping in increasing their production, and that helps in not only internal consumption but external export also. In the recent example is Apple and Samsung and other things, which they are not only producing and assembling here, but they're exporting, and the export is also billions of dollars per month. So which is adding. So these are the supply side changes which is resulting into the points. Another thing is the formalization of the economy. Now, formalization of the economy is the transparency in the system, whether it is taxes, whether it is GST, or whether resolving of those disputes which is there. So this kind of things are also making a huge changes. If you, I'll just take up 1 minute on GST, which was introduced sometime in 2015-16. And interestingly, world over, it has been seen the government which introduced GST rarely returned back in power. Means most of the people, they are used to the way of doing business, and if any change in the system, people don't like it. But this is one of that exception where India government has not only came back with power, but with a higher majority, better majority. So this also shows, in spite of so much opposition and things, jokes about GST, but it has come back with a thing and transparency.
गिरीश जी, मैं आपको एक सेकंड रोकूंगा, और मैं रोकूंगा आपको जीएसटी के ऊपर। जब जीएसटी शुरू में लॉन्च हुआ था, आपने कहा था ना लोग बहुत मजाक बनाते हैं, टैक्सेशन स्ट्रक्चर चेंज कर दिया और वो सब। मैं मेरठ गया, एक मेडिकल स्टोर से मैं दवाई लेने गया, तो मैंने उससे पूछा भाई बिजनेस कैसा चल रहा है, तो उसने मालूम है क्या बोला? उसने कहा सर मोदी जी ने परेशान कर दिया, हमने उनको वोट इसलिए नहीं दिया था कि वो हमारी जिंदगी हराम कर दें, यहाँ पे तो रिटर्न ही समझ नहीं आ रहा कि कैसे भरना है। अच्छा, फिर मैं 1 साल बाद फिर गया, तो फिर दैट टाइम ही वाज थोड़ा सा सिस्टमेटिक हो गया था, तो दैट देन ही सेड के सर नाउ इट इज सिस्टमेटिक एंड आई एम फेसिंग लीस्ट प्रॉब्लम इन द बिजनेस। तो आपकी बात वो सही है कि जिसने कहीं भी अगर जीएसटी अप्लाई किया है वो गवर्नमेंट गई, क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम का टाइम रहता है, अगले 3-4 साल प्रॉब्लम होती है, उसके बाद सिस्टमेटिक हो जाता है। तो इंडिया वालों ने शायद, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि थोड़ा कम टाइम लगाया सिस्टमेटिक होने में, और उसी की वजह से मोदी गवर्नमेंट 2019 में दोबारा वापस आ गई। चलिए फिर आपकी बात सुनते हैं।
So then we are having another factor is the RERA, which is also one of the points which we are hearing this about, is the major changes in the real estate. The earlier real estate sector was, I will not say that it is fully transparent, but still there is a change from the what was happening earlier than now. And by bringing in RERA, they had make more say to the buyer also. Earlier it was a seller market, means whatever the builder or the real estate people were doing, and people were having no option but to accept on those dotted line, and then they were getting into trouble if builder is not able to, or estate agent is not able to, give their delivery and other thing. But
Okay.
now with cooperation from the states, there is a lot of improvement. So this is one of the area where real estate changes had happened. Then digitalizing social transfer. Now this is, everyone has spoken about it, and it is, we know where does India stand. First, they have introduced the Jan Aadhaar Yojana and other thing where the people were not linked to the bank. Now almost any person whosoever having some income or some benefit which they are taking it from the government or utilizing a scheme, they are having a bank account, and now they all are linked. After that, they have also introduced the digital payment system, KYC, Aadhaar, and other things. So security is also there, and the payment ease is there. So digitalization has changed so much that in COVID and other period, there are people were not facing this kind of a problem of making not going out from their house or from offices, and but making in changes. So exchange of things were so easy because of the digitization of payment.
जब डिजिटल पेमेंट की बात होती है और बेसिकली जो गवर्नमेंट सर्कल्स वाले या बीजेपी वाले ये कहते हैं कि डिजिटल पेमेंट से इंडिया की इकोनॉमी चेंज हो रही है, तो मैंने सोचा आपको एक कॉन्टेक्स्ट दे दूं। पी चिदम्बरम ने एक बार स्टेटमेंट दिया कि जो छोटे छोटे वेंडर्स हैं, कोई चाट का ठेला है, कोई बेसिकली सब्जी बेचने वाला है, अगर डिजिटल पेमेंट हो जाएगा तो उनकी इकोनॉमी पे, उनके बिजनेस पे क्या फर्क पड़ने वाला है इससे। बात सही है भाई, आफ्टर ऑल ही इज हार्वर्ड एजुकेटेड हैं चिदम्बरम साहब, उनकी बात पे ध्यान देना चाहिए। तो जब मैं सब्जी मंडी गया तो मैं सबको देखा और देखा कि सब डिजिटल पेमेंट को एक्सेप्ट कर रहे थे। तो मैंने उनसे पूछा कि जब से डिजिटल पेमेंट आया तो आपके बिजनेस पे इसका क्या फर्क पड़ा है, और उन्होंने मालूम है क्या जवाब दिया। उन्होंने कहा कि सर क्या होता है कि जब ये सेल फरोख्त का मामला होता है, लोग आते हैं तो बल्क में आते हैं। जैसे शाम के 4 से 5 बजे का टाइम है, ऑफिस से लोग वापस जा रहे हैं, तो पता चला कि आपकी दुकान पे 20 लोग आ गए। उसके बाद पता चला अगले 1 घंटे में आपके पास एक भी नहीं आया। बात तो सही है, पीक आवर्स होते हैं। तो कहते हैं कि जब वो पीक आवर्स में क्या होता है, फटाफट ट्रांजैक्शन होता है, तो उसका एक बहुत बड़ा एडवांटेज एक्चुअली डिजिटल पेमेंट की वजह से होता है, यानी कि बिजनेस बढ़ता है। अब ये बात समझने के लिए मुझे नहीं लगता किसी को हार्वर्ड जाने की जरूरत है।
एंड वी आर almost, I think, if I'm not wrong, we are number 1 in digital payment system as of now. If we consider number of transaction, not I'm talking of the value, because value wise we are economically we are 5th, so we can't say that way. But number of transaction which is happening is one of the highest, and many developed countries are looking at the India system, and India is helping them. Singapore is one of them, and many other places where they are security and ease of thing is helping the how Indian UPI payment and other thing is helping. So this is one of the major change. Then insolvency and bankruptcy code. On this we have already done one video earlier, but just to keep this thing, this is not an incentive, this is a deterrent. Now you will say how deterrent is helping the Indian economy. It is basically a message and action against industries or those businessmen who are not performing or having a malified intention or not able to give the results. So earlier what was happening, people were having a loan and NPA were there, and then still banks were showing them as a receivable. But by having this insolvency bankruptcy code, which was introduced by Mr. Jaitley in 2015-16, and then further strengthened at a later stage, it has made remarkable change. I will not say that all the people are now straightforward other thing, but they are thinking twice before doing any fraud and other thing. But whatever has happened earlier or before act of this, they are now very much careful. And approximately, if I am not wrong, approximately 8 lakhs crore has been recovered till 2021 from those industries or those which were not performing, which is roughly 40% of the debt which they were having. So how much impact?
गिरीश जी एक पॉइंट मैं यहाँ पे आपसे क्लेरिफिकेशन चाहूंगा, बिकॉज मोदी जी के अगेंस्ट में या प्रेजेंट गवर्नमेंट के अगेंस्ट में ये चार्ज लगता है कि बाकी लोगों से तो ये लोन रिकवरी करते हैं और जो बड़े बड़े इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट हैं उनसे ये पैसा नहीं निकाल पाते, या फिर उनको वो लोन्स देते हैं विद मालाफाइड इंटेंशन। लोग चले जाते हैं, लोन का पैसा नहीं चुकाते और गवर्नमेंट उनकी हेल्प करती है। तो मैं आपसे ये जानना चाहूंगा कि प्रेजेंट गवर्नमेंट की इस बारे में कितनी क्रेडिबिलिटी है। ओवर टू यू।
Okay, it's a very good question. And unfortunately, all our opposition parties or leader, and unfortunately, even the spokesperson which comes from the government, they are not answering it satisfactorily. And the public take it on a face value what they are speaking. First and foremost, we have to understand government is not giving loan. Loans are given by the banks, and banks are mostly PSUs and private. So it is the banks which are giving loan to the industries, whether company A or company B. It is not the government, which earlier in initial period government was giving loan, but now government is not giving loan. It is the banks which are giving. Now, so after ISB, this is insolvency bankruptcy code which has come. Now none of the bank can waive off. So first thing is that word they use, waive off and other thing, itna kar diya, wo kar diya, this is all wrong. Because none of the bank which has given a loan is waiving off. What they are doing, they are writing off. What is the written off difference between waive off is, let's understand. Suppose a company A has taken a loan and now they are not in a position to repay them. So earlier what was happening, banks were showing them as receivable. Suppose I have taken a loan from the bank, 100 rupees I have to give them. Banks were not showing as a default and it is still showing I will be giving them 100 rupees. Whereas I had no intention or I have no capacity to return it back. So, but still on the books, bank was showing it 100. So bank was having a very healthy balance sheet. But it is not so. Now, what is happening if 2 quarter or when the payment schedule is there, repayment schedule is there, if they are not able to meet those target, so bank will give notice and after that they will declare them as a default. And if default is declared, then what will happen? Bank is showing them, okay, this amount or this loan which is outstanding against a company is doubtful. And after certain time, they will say default. So what will happen? They are taking out from their balance sheet. Now, these are, please understand, taking out from the balance sheet means to the shareholder of the banks, like public or the government, they are telling, okay, I am having this much percentage. So let's say 6%, 3% was the NPA, which is also reducing by time. But at the same time, they are going to the courts and recovering it from that industry. So recovery process is different from waive off.
Okay.
It is not waive off, it is written off, but recovery process is continuing and there is a board which take over the professionals take over that industry or that unit or that purpose and then they sell it out. So whatever the salvage value comes out, this is what I said, it is roughly 40% of that thing has come. Why it has increased 40%? Because there is a provision that the promoter or related to the promoter cannot take back that industry back. So earlier what was happening? Public were declaring it as okay, this is, I am not in a position to pay back, but they continue to own the industry because there is no such provision to debar them. But now under this rule, so even like whether it is SR Steel or JSW Steel or whatever, those who companies who has gone through this process, they cannot claim any claim on their industry. So these industrialists are losing entire control over their business of that. So this is a bigger deterrent, and that's the reason people are avoiding such thing. They are making efforts not to come into a default list. So
Understood.
that's why none of the government is waiving of any of this loan. It is default, which is recovery. At the same time, to their shareholder, they are telling, okay, this amount we are not able to recover, but recovery is going on. So recovery is there. At the same time, shareholder knows, okay, what is the actual position. So that's the reason bank's balance sheet has improved. So I think this is one of the major point people should understand.
Yes,
Bank
it is
is
a very
not,
big point. Very
government
big
is
point.
not giving out any of their loan.
Yes. चलिए नेक्स्ट पॉइंट पे
Then
आते हैं.
okay. Then we are having a flexible inflation targeting. Here we can see the government has kept a very close watch on what is happening on the economy front and taking action, corrective action in a timely manner. One of the best example, I will say, most of the government has taken during the COVID time when there was a problem. So they have given a loan, and at a lower rate of interest, the industries were allowed to continue, and they were also given some time to repay, because it was an unprecedented situation. It was not a normal business as usual. So they were going through it. But after that, once the thing changed, we had another problem of inflation, and which was further compounded by the Russia-Ukraine war.
Okay.
So now in that situation, all governments were having issues how to handle it, because energy prices have soared so much that it was beyond comparison. For example, oil, which was there $70, it has jumped to $100 plus. The biggest jump was in the gas price in the Europe and India, which was running around $8 to $10 per MMBTU the unit. It has gone to $60, means 7 times of the jump. So which has resulted into so much of inflation in Europe, US, and worldwide, because everybody is using energy. So either you pass on to customer. What government of India has did a wonderful job, I will say, as a policy. They had kept that price fixed of what was prior to war, and continue to absorb that cost by the companies, OMCs, and the oil producer like IOC, ONGC, Reliance, BPCL, and all those things. They were absorbing that cost, and customer was not paying for that. That's the reason inflation, in this unprecedented situation where all other major economy, whether it is US or Europe, were having double-digit inflation, India was still confined to 7 to 8%. And if we compare our inflation, which was there prior to 2013, we were normally in the range of 8 to 12%, whereas in this last 5-6 years, we are in the range of 4 to 8%. So that is a major difference because of targeting inflation at a timely manner. So I will say it's a very good decision by the Ministry of Finance as well as RBI, because they are responsible for keeping this inflation. Then we are also having a focus on FDI. Now, we are using this word FDI, and that is a foreign direct investment. If foreign direct investment is coming, which is coming not in terms of dollar only, but it is an investment. So means that amount or the foreign currency or the investment which is coming, which is for a long term, and that add to the India economy. It's not coming to the share market or equity or loan kind of a thing. It is not for that purpose. So like we have seen many such major investment has happening in the last couple of years. And the recent one is Apple or semiconductor or in other automobile industries and other thing, which is the reason FDI has increased in last couple of years. Then it says India's 401k movement. So it is a US word 401k, but in India we call it ATC, the income tax point of view. So during this last many years you have seen, and I'm sure you must be a part of it, that you have also increased your investment in terms of mutual fund or debt fund and other things. So it shows that public means those who are having taxable people and other things, they are also investing in the mutual fund and debts, and which is increasing government kitty. Means when the banks is having a more amount, so that amount is available for loan and other purpose. So, but at the same time, it also shows people are having a spare income, and which they are ready to put it into the system back. Okay. Another point is government support for corporate profit. Now we have seen earlier part of it that taxation and other thing, which is help in what we call it taxation structure and formalizing things. So which is helping in a to the industries which are having this industry. Earlier they were having a very high rate of interest for payment. I mean, sorry, not interest payment, their profit now, which has been at par with the other leading industrial nation, and so they do not have any disadvantage over their good return. So they are also investing that money back to the system in industry, and since it is a win-win situation for both industrialists, means the shareholders, as well as to the government and the public, because the money is being reinvested back to the industry.
Okay.
And we are having that MNC sentiment at a multi-year high. This is a simple statement. When all these things are happening, the public is, the industries which is coming from a different place are having ease of business. They feel it, and it is not only in terms of index which is coming out on paper study, but actually. So once ease of business is there, it helps in increasing the investment, and public, the industrialist or the foreign direct investment is helping. Now, these are the positive points.
Okay.
Now, I would like to say, or let's say, have a question whether all these studies is just a theoretical, or do we see it is actually happening.
Okay.
So best is we should examine it whether all these number of changes which Morgan Stanley has analyzed and summarized, whether it is actually happening or not. So this is very, very clear from the last couple of years. Where does India stand?
Yes.
If we look into basic data, I mean telling, because they have used the India has arrived in the world stage, which is true. Now, India is a top 5 economy in GDP wise. I will also give, okay, until unless these factors are not giving result on a instantly or within a year, it takes time. So impact what was happening in 2014, 16, 18 is giving result now.
पार्ट 2 में गिरीश जी इम्प्लीकेशंस के बारे में बात करेंगे। जो भी स्टेप्स पिछले 9 सालों में लिए गए, उनके जो इम्प्लीकेशंस हैं इकोनॉमी के ऊपर, क्या क्या आए, जीडीपी के ऊपर क्या उसका इम्पैक्ट पड़ा। अगर मैं एक ही वीडियो बना देता तो बहुत बड़ा हो जाता और आप शायद देखने के संकोच करते, इसलिए मैंने इसको 2 पार्ट में बनाया है। सेकंड पार्ट होपफुली मैं आज ही अपलोड कर दूंगा। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग।